Hey there, and thanks so much for joining me for another tutorial. My name is Erin Eno, and today we're painting this cute polar bear Christmas card. I do want to point out that near the end, after I take the tape off, I do make some pretty important changes to the bear, so if you're kind of skipping ahead, make sure you catch that part. Okay, so grab your paints and let's get started. Today I'm using my Arches cold press watercolor paper. It's 140 pound, 100% cotton. I have my Van Gogh paints, a jar of water, a paper towel. I've got a bunch of Princeton snap round brushes here. I've got a size 12, 4, 2, and 0. I'm not sure which ones I will need until I get into it. You will also need a pencil and an eraser. And I'm going to be writing Merry Christmas on this card, so I'm going to be using a white gel pen. You could use whatever you have, white, silver, whatever you like. I may be putting snow in this scene as well, and for that I would be using my Dr. P.H. Martin Bleed Proof White. If you don't have this, you can use anything white, opaque, gouache or acrylic paint. If you have a white gel pen, you could even put the snow in with that. It just gets a little tedious if that's all you have. I also have a blank card that I will be putting this card on top of. So this measures 5 by 7. So I have masked off a window that measures 4.5, 6.5. So at the end, we'll have a 1/4 inch border all the way around. Okay, so let's just start by drawing out our little bear in the scene, and I'll try to draw it dark enough that you can see it, and then I'll lighten the pencil lines with my eraser. So there's a couple things I want to make sure that I am able to fit in on this picture, and one is the star. So I want to kind of just make sure I leave enough room for everything, so I'm just going to indicate roughly where the star is going to go. Okay, and then I also want to put the words Merry Christmas on here. So I've written it out a couple thousand times here to see how wide it's going to be, and I just want to mark where that's going to go. So roughly centered, I'm going to start my M about here. Okay, so I think what I'll do is I'll just kind of indicate a little line, little guideline here. Okay, and like I say, I just want to kind of visually center it. So the M is, so the M is going to start about here. Okay, so I will just draw this in. So now we know what space we need for that. Now we can fill in the snow and the little bear. So the bear, I think I want him to be about here to here. Okay. And then the snow, actually make him a little lower, just a little bit. Then the snow is going to come up like so. Okay, and this hill kind of continues over here a bit, like that. And then we'll have another hill coming from up here, just like that. Okay, so now we have that in, we can start kind of penciling in where our little bear is going to go. Okay, so I want the bear to be about here and end about here. Okay, so this is going to be his snout. Okay, and then you've got his head, and then you've got his body. So his body, well, let's just draw this in actually now that I've started. So that's his snout. And here's his round head. Okay, he's going to have ears here. Well, I'll just draw them a little. It's gonna have ears there. It's a little crooked. His head, then his body is gonna come off his head like this. And then his hind legs and his bum. His little feet. Like that. Okay, so there's your little bear looking up at the stars. He's way off center though, so I am going to bring this out a little bit. There we go. So now we have everything in place. We're going to do a few trees up here as well. So I'm just going to lighten the lines now. Okay, so now we can get painting, and I'll start with the sky first. And I'm going to use a bit of ultramarine deep, whoops, and some indigo to get a nice dark blue for the sky. And I'll just start with a bit of a wash first. Okay, I don't want to start off too dark. It can be darker than that though. And then I'm going to take the indigo and just tap it into the corners and down here, just so it can bleed in and be a little deeper towards the outer edges. Just like that. And we'll let that bleed out. Now I also want to have a little bit of blue in the snow as well, just because it is a night scene. So I'm going to just take off some excess paint from my brush and just do a light wash around here and close to the bear. Take even more pigment off. I should switch to a smaller brush, but I just want to come up to the bear. Just like that. And just drag this out. Okay. Well, I missed a little bit here. So I just want to make sure that this does stay lighter than the sky. And don't paint over the bear's snout. Okay, now I want to use that same blue, a little darker, and do this hill like it's kind of behind this one. So I don't want it sopping wet because I don't want it to bleed like crazy. but I want it a little darker towards the base. There's a little fluff on my paper. And then we'll have a little highlight at the top of it. Just like that. Okay, so we'll leave that white highlight there. We can probably have a little bit more shading in here. We've got that in place. Now I'm going to take my number 0 brush, and with a little bit of water, I see where it says Merry Christmas, so the the star I want up here. So I just kind of want to make a bloom and lift this pigment out where I want the star to go. I might have left it too long, we'll see. If I did, it's okay, we'll just, well, there, it's starting to lift a little bit. Well, not soaking wet. If I can't lift this enough, it's not a big deal. We can put it in as a white star. I just wanted to put a little bit of yellow there for a glow, but if it's not going to work, it's not going to work. Oh, there, that's not too bad. Now for our bear, we're going to start putting in some bluish tone. So I'm going to use blue and a little bit of Payne's gray. I don't want to use like a stark black. Okay. And I just want a very light wash of it. So I'm going to take most of it off my brush, and I'm using the number 2. I'm going to go and put in the shape around the bear here. That's a little too much water. Okay, just kind of tapping to kind of indicate his shape. Okay, so his head, you have to indicate that there. And I'm going to leave white right around the very edge to make it look like a little bit of a highlight and glow from the star. Hopefully that's what it's going to look like. So I'm just going to tap this in. Like so. And I'm going to kind of blend it out so it's not so harsh. And bring it along his bum. Like that. We can do the same thing on the other side. Just tap it in. Just like that. Kind of soften it up, push it out a little bit. Okay, and I'm going to take more of the shadow. Oops, almost tossed my brush. And I'm going to just kind of make it look like he's got his bum in the snow a little bit. Hopefully that's what it's going to look like. I don't know. It may not. But it's there nonetheless. And we're kind of missing his foot here, so I'm going to put in his little foot like that. Okay, and a line. Now I'm going to put in, there's still a little too much pencil on his face here. Just get rid of that line. There we go. Still a little too much of the pencil in the background too, but I can go over the background, make it even darker if I want, but I just don't want to start off too dark. And then using a wash of that color again, I'm going to put in his little ears there. And then a little shadow where his snout would be coming off of his head, like that. Okay, with the solid black, I'm just going to go and put in his eyes. One here, one over here, and his nose. Just like that. So he's looking up at the star. I'm going to put in a little bit of a shadow just where his nose comes out of. It's a little heavy. There we go. We can add a little bit more shadow in here and under his little bum. Okay, and I'm sticking with my my number 0 because I don't want this to get away on me. Okay, now I'm going to go back to my number 12 and the dark blue, and I'm going to make that sky a little bit darker. So I've got the indigo and ultramarine deep, and we're just going to put another layer on the sky and deepen up the snow a little bit as well. I'll probably have to pick up where that star is again as well too. Now with the number 0, I've got to put that star back in there. Okay, so I'm just going to tap that up a little bit. There. So our star will go in there. Getting a little bit of a hard edge over here. So I'm going to clean off my brush and just kind of soften this edge up a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect in the sky, but I don't want too harsh an edge there. So now I do want to deepen up the snow a bit to make him pop out a little more. So I don't want to get carried away with it, but I'm just going to put a little bit just around him. It doesn't have to be like, you know, perfect, just to put a little bit more tone in some spots of the snow, which we can do because it is a night scene, so we can get away with that. Just kind of soften it up just a bit. Just like that. So this area is fairly dry, so I want to go in and do some little footprints. No, not footprints. They would be paw prints in the snow. So I'm just going to do like he's come from over here, but you won't see them head on. So we'll just do like a few here, and I'll lighten them up. I'm going to tap it up just like that. And we can do a little bit of a shadow underneath him because he would be casting a shadow. Like that. Okay, so that's still a little damp, but I'm going to go in and do some trees. So I've got some sap green here with a bit of the ultramarine deep and a bit of carmine to just make it a really deep green. Okay, and we're just going to do a couple trees. We're not going to go crazy. We'll start on this side and just do some trees that are kind of peeking up through this snow mound, this hill. Okay, so just kind of some messy kind of lines. Just like that. Now this is still wet, but I'm going to go in with the yellow, and I'm going to use the permanent lemon yellow. That's really bright. It may not be warm enough. You know what, I'm going to add some of the azo yellow in it just to make it a little warmer. Okay, and just with a little wash on my brush just to see how this goes first, I'm just going to tap in some yellow. Just like that. And that's just going to be our glow. We're going to actually do the star in white, and this will just be like the yellow glow coming off of it. So now we're going to wait for this to dry, and we'll go in and put in our lettering and finish off with the white. Okay, I'm not overly happy with the shape of the bear's head, so I'm going to take this opportunity to darken up the snow a little bit more. I may regret this, but I'm going to use this to shape his head, make it just a little rounder, because we've kind of lost the shape of his head there and his ear, and I want that back. So I'm just going to do that. Then I'm going to just blend it all out and let it run down. And that'll also accentuate that highlight on the edge of him. And I think we can get away with it because the snow can afford to be darker in a night scene like this. So that's what I did to make him pop out a little more. And I'm going to do it to the other side as well. And I will put a little bit more shadow under his bum here as well. And I think I could even afford to just go in, go in with just a little bit of the shadow color and tap in some more kind of shape to him. A little more on his nose, like that. I think I'm going to add some shadow to the trees as well. Because why not? Why not? Just going to do some shadows coming this way. Just like that. And then some shadows coming this way off of these guys. Okay, so now that the background is dry, I can barely see my words now. Okay, I had to write my words back in there very lightly just because I couldn't see them at all. So I'm just going to go slowly over this. I'll try to make it some kind of faux calligraphy here, which means every downstroke would be thicker than the upstrokes. So you know what? No, I'm going to use my bleed-proof white ink, and I want it kind of watered down for the star. I don't want the star to be really stark white. So I'm just going to do like that. Okay, now with some more opaque white, just going to mix some of that in the lid, and we'll just put some snow on the trees back here, just a little bit. So I'm going to go with my size 4, which hopefully will be big enough. I'm not sure. We're about to find out. Okay, so it's watered down a little bit, and I'm just going to tap some snow on here. We're going to take off the tape and see what we have. So there's the front of the card. Now I'm going to trim it out right up to this border, and we'll put it on the card. So after seeing this against the white background of the card, I'm thinking that the bear can afford to be a little darker, like he's more in tune with the evening kind of theme I was going for. So I'm going to go back in and just darken him up just a little bit more. So I apologize for that, but I think he can afford to be a little darker. Okay, so I think I'm happier with that because it kind of accentuates this highlight that's there. I kind of lost it on his face there, but I could always go in with the gel pen just to kind of pick that highlight up again. Cheating a little bit, but that's okay. There. So the highlight looks a little stronger there. So I'm much happier with this. He was just a little too stark white and looked a little flat. He's got more dimension now, and this nice highlight on the left side is a little more prominent, which I like. So all in all, I'm happy. And I just stuck the painting onto the card using double-sided tape. You can use a glue stick or a glue gun if that's what you have. But there is your final card. So I hope you enjoyed this tutorial and that you picked up a few tips along the way. One main tip is if you're not happy with it, it can always be fixed. And that's a big tip. So anyway, thanks so much for joining me, guys. And if you liked this video, please like and share. And don't forget to subscribe if you haven't already. And if you're on Instagram and you do this tutorial, please share your work and tag me so I can have a look. That's it for today, guys. Take care, and I will see you in the next one.